hearts and spirits, I reach out to you. You reach out to me. Darkness, hope in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts. Now is the time to come together to count our blessings. We are grateful. We lift our voices in one chorus, my brother, my sister, let's celebrate peaceful season, love every moment, light shines wherever we are, faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, joy in our hearts. Let's celebrate peace. Let's celebrate love. Let's celebrate. Joy, sweet joy in our hearts. Joy, joy.
Who are with us virtually, we're so glad you are able to join us via technology. What a to remember peace in times of conflict, to remember who I am as an expression of peace, and to walk in peace. And so it is. Amen. And if you will, join me in our mission statement together. Unity of Hagerstown, a welcoming community, embraces spiritual awakening through affirmative prayer and meditation, creating a positive path of abundant living for all. And now we'll have the reading of the Daily Word with Jeff White and the writing of the Advent candles.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Today's daily word for December 8th is peace. I begin the second week of Advent by affirming peace for myself and all beings, and letting the peace of God flow through me. Peaceful living does not mean isolation from noise or turmoil. It means calm, even in the middle of the hubbub. At this time of year, when so many seem busy and rushed, I rely on the peace of God that resides within to promote calm in my home, in my life, and in the world. Prayer helps me stay centered, serene, and relaxed, so I can be an instrument of peace. Holding thoughts of tranquility and affirming peace in every heart, I move through this day and Advent season, affirming kindness and compassion. I give the gift of peace as I let it flow from my heart like ripples on a lake, sustaining each person in concentric circles of tranquility and goodwill. The scripture for today comes from the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 33. The God of peace be with you all. And if you please join me in reciting the affirmation on the screens in front of you all together. I give the gift of peace. Now take a moment and let that sink into your heart space. And now again, all together, I give the gift of peace.
Thank you, Jeff. We have an opportunity to greet our neighbors, and this is not to share our life story. You can do that at another time. But it is to say hello to those around us, to welcome faces you may not recognize, and just to check in quickly. So let's greet our neighbors for a minute. If you want to say hello to our virtual friends, stand right here.
Morning. How you doing? I know we're old.
How are you?
Morning to all our Facebook friends.
I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean, I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river in my soul.
Woo, yeah. And we do, yes, we just don't always remember that, right? Okay, so second week in Advent. Now, obviously, we're talking about peace today, but I'm inviting you to approach this Advent season with intention. See how the Christmas story really reflects our own spiritual journey, and the characters in the story can reflect some of the states of consciousness that we are holding as well. Today, we're going to look at what might be called an anti-hero, which sounds a little odd for the Christmas story, doesn't it? Let me read you from Matthew, the second chapter here. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born. "In Bethlehem, in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has said." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report back to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under. So we're going to pause the story right there. And just look at Herod for a little bit. Doesn't sound like a very nice guy, right? But he was acting out of fear. So metaphysically, Bible interpretation, which these characters are symbolic of states of consciousness within us, or symbolically, if that's easier for you to think of. Symbolically, Herod is really, when we get so fearful, we no longer remember who we are. We are fear-run amok. We have forgotten that we are an expression of love. We have forgotten that we are one with the one. We all have this state of consciousness within us. We all become fearful at times and forget who we are as that light of God expressing. But we're in the midst of this grip of fear and panic, and when we feel threatened, as Herod did in this story, all that we know ourselves to be as Spirit expressing haunts me, if you will. And it's called a hungry ghost. A hungry ghost going around. It's representing beings who are driven by intense emotional need, looking for validation, looking for security without. They're going around searching for it, gobbling up everything in their path. Interestingly enough, a few years back, I was at a conference, and a neuroscientist, Dr. Mark Walden, talked about how most people live like as if they were just a mouth, consuming everything around them, looking for just the same thing: validation, security, safety, letting someone out the outside dictate who they are. So that's when we are the hungry ghost, when we are forgetting who we are, always looking for more, never getting satisfied, always staying hungry. More power, more pleasure. If only I had this job, I would be at peace. If only I had this new house, I would be at peace. If only I had this relationship. Whatever it is on the outside. Not really living, just existing. Hang on for a second. I bought this magnetic bracelet, and it's hanging onto the podium. Okay, there. Now it's not going to be so distracting. little interlude there. So we have this capacity for this consciousness to come out, and it stems from fear, as in seen in this scripture that we just read. Herod was afraid that another ruler would come and displace him. So this Sunday in which we look at peace along our spiritual journey, our own, and perhaps reflect upon how our own inner Herod shows up, it gives us the information that we must heal our own heart before we can be that peace in the land, right? We must bridge the division within before we can bridge the divide without. When we feel threatened in any way and fear arises, which is a built-in survival reflex, by the way. I mean, we were many centuries, many eons, and looking for saber-toothed tigers, looking for what's wrong. But in today's world, we tend to assign blame out there, and that may be justified. I'm not saying that. The problem is when we start going over and over, repeating in our mind that blame, and that tends to create anger and hatred. And this is true individually, and you can certainly see it as being true collectively as well. We see those we blame then as something other than ourselves. They are other than us. So we've built a wall up, we've built a divide up. And we create that story that keeps the anger going on. Yet this division, whether it's in our personal relationships or in other groups, can only exist when we have forgotten our own innate spiritual essence. When we remember who we are, we remember we are one with all, one spirit. Tara Brach, the spiritual teacher, tells us when there's blame, anger, aversion, the body tightens and we're cut off from our full learning functions. We're using half our brain, basically. We are unable to get a larger perspective. We're not living from our wholeness. We're not living, why we say, from our higher self, if you will. And of course, we don't experience peace in those times. We know this when we experience it, when we feel blame or anger, our bodies do become very tight and we get focused or tunnel vision, if you will. But anger is not really the problem. Anger is a necessary energy that alerts us when something's wrong, when something's off. We need that anger. It's when we hold on to the anger that we're really cut off from our higher self. Conflict, when entered into in a healthy way, is how we grow together, individually and together. So the healing of the world, the peace on earth, we sing it every Sunday, starts with me. Healing my own self, my own wounds, deepening our sense of what's going on inside so we can figure out what it is, dealing with the turmoil, the resistance, whatever it is that's keeping us feeling separate or isolated from others. So the beginning of this healing is really to remember that we want to do better. And I believe everybody wants to do better. We want to be a better person. We want to be more loving. We want to bring what we believe Spirit to be in our daily lives as love, as peace. Conflict between people is inevitable. And because the church is made of people, conflict within a church happens as well at times. And it's not wrong or bad, but again, a way for us to grow together, to wake up more fully as who we are as expressions of Spirit. The saying, no mud, no lotus. There you go. We need that conflict, that tension to grow. Our response may be to think that conflict is something to avoid. I have certainly been there, but it's going to find you anyway. We can think of it as bad, but it is a time to evolve consciousness. Doesn't mean war. It just means that we are separating ourselves from others. Anything that keeps us in that tunnel vision so we don't see our higher self, that we don't see the light in another. We have rigidity not only in our body, but in our thinking as well. It's conflict. When we feel threatened, it's because a need of ours is not being met. It might be a need for respect. It might be a need to be right. It might be a need to feel safe. So conflict, as Brock tells us, is when our needs are clashing with another's needs. We perpetuate conflict by rerunning the stories of blame. We withhold affection, we criticize, we get habituated in holding blame. Think about that. Blame becomes a habit. Whatever we practice grows stronger. When we practice gratitude, it grows stronger. If we practice blame, it grows stronger. Where my attention goes, energy flows. So when we get caught up in conflict and we turn rigid in our thinking and narrow vision, we are not seeing the other in their wholeness, in their higher self, and no longer seeing ours. And that is the time, if not before then, to hit a pause button mentally. To hit the pause button, to give us time to remember, first of all, that we really want to do better, that we want to be the peace on this world, and we want to grow. We want to, be that expression of love. And then we have a time of reflection to go within to figure out what is really going on. What a time of discovery, a time spent in the silence can often bring those answers to you. And then taking responsibility for how we have reacted. And also knowing that we're not dependent on another person changing for us to be okay. We don't have to have someone change in order for us to move into a peace. But we can be responsible for how we're showing up. Looking within instead of looking without and blaming another. God also tells us all the moments you spend blaming another are moments you are not taking care of the unmet needs of your heart. And that's the next step, is showing self-compassion. If you have that need for respect, make sure you are respecting yourself. If you are looking for love, make sure you are loving yourself. Get in touch with the feelings of hurt, vulnerability, and provide that loving care for yourself. Be with your own heart instead of looking for whatever it is without. Healing that divide within through loving attention, self-compassion. And that's when peace comes, right? Okay, so we have to feel it to heal it, we know that, but we don't have to camp out in it, okay? Okay. So we can be peace on earth without, we can't be peace on earth, rather, without healing our hearts. Krishnamurti, in a speech given to the UN in 1984, tells us, how can there be external peace in the world if one is not at peace with oneself? We will never answer that question. We are always trying to bring about change externally. We never seem to realize that unless each one of us changes radically, there will be no peace on earth. Okay, so let's go back to Herod. We kind of left him hanging, right? We wanted to finish up here a little bit. Historians agree that Herod went insane towards the end of his life and ended up murdering his wife and children. So fear becomes greater when it is not addressed. And it takes us deeper into isolation and also in really ugly paths at times. But in our story in Matthew, Herod was not the only character there. There were the Magi as well. And they are also a part of our consciousness, leading us to clarity, to discernment. They literally had a hero's journey instead of being an anti-hero. They had a hero's journey, traveling for so long to come to the Christ child, and metaphysically it would be the Christ consciousness, awareness of who we are as spirit expression. So, I'm going to close with a story that I read recently. A young man lived long ago in Istanbul, Turkey. And because he was poor, he only had a small cot in a single room, sparsely furnished with just a bookshelf and a few books on it. And one night the young man had a dream, a very vivid dream, so clear he knew it was a vision. And in it, he saw himself walking the streets of a city that he wasn't familiar with, a city he had never been before. He figured out that it was Cairo, Egypt. He saw clearly the name of the street that he was walking on. And in his vision, he could see houses that lined it. And he was drawn to one particular home. So he went into the courtyard and entered into the house. And there was a door that was open to a room. And he entered into that room. And in the room sat an old man surrounded by treasures, emeralds and rubies and gold and silver and diamonds and exquisite carpets and artifacts from around the world. The young man stared at the treasures and then at the old man, and he somehow knew that all of that treasure belonged to him. He didn't know how he knew it. It was a vision after all, but he just felt it. It was all rightfully his. He believed in this vision so much that he bolted away from the dream and decided to leave that So it was a long time, a couple months before he got there. But when he arrived, he found the very street he had dreamed about, and everything was just as he had dreamed. The houses lining the street. Then he saw the house that he went into the courtyard, and it was just as he had seen in his dream. He walked into the house. There was the door that was open, inviting him in, and he went into that room. He saw the old man, but there was no treasure. So he said to himself, well, everything else in this dream is right. The old man's probably hidden that treasure from me. So he told his vision to the old man. And he said, I know that the treasure is here, and I know that it belongs to me. I'm asking you to hand it over. The old man was silent for a bit. And then he looked at the young man, and after a while he spoke. You know, it's strange, because I too had a dream. I dreamed of a young man in Istanbul who looked exactly like you. And the young man thought, oh, here's validation. Yes, go on, tell me more. And the old man proceeded to describe the street on which the young man lived. He described his family and his friends. He described the room in which the young man lived as well, along with the books on the bookshelf. In my vision, said the old man, the greatest treasure, more precious than all the shiny rocks and metals in the world, what was there on that small cot in the room. The young man suddenly realized what he meant. And in that moment, he saw that his existence, his very being, was all the treasure that he would ever need. Everything was within him. And a profound peace overcame him. And he took his leave of the old man and lived the rest of his life in Istanbul. Our hunger for finding treasure outside of ourselves, for validation, for security, whatever it is, things that we think will bring us peace, or people that we think will bring us peace, inhibits our experience of peace. The source of peace is within you. Even though we may try to find something or someone to provide that peace who will bring us peace, peace is a spiritual principle. We are spirit expressing. Therefore, we have that peace within us. I invite you to join me in our affirmation. This is from Ernest Holmes, actually. Together, I let my inner spirit fill my whole being with peace and stillness. We're going to go into a time of meditation. And actually, it'll be a part of reflection, in which we'll go through the steps that I outlined in finding peace, inner peace, and then we'll have time spent in the quiet. So as you go ahead and adjust your position, becoming more comfortable, and whichever is more comfortable for you. I invite you to go to your heart space, and just during this time of reflection, just ask yourself, check in with your heart, what most often keeps me from feeling the peace within? What most often keeps me from feeling peace? Is it anger or fear? A feeling of not being enough? What keeps me from feeling this peace? And as the answer bubbles up, I invite you to sit with it and see if you can allow any deeper need to come forth as well. A need for respect, a need for security, a need to be heard. And once you identify what the need is, allow your heart to be comforted by showing some self-compassion, by knowing that you are love. you can respect yourself, that you are safe and secure right here, right now. And breathing in to amplify this comfort that you bring to your heart. Recognize that you are the peace of God. And give yourself permission to feel this peace. Give yourself permission to choose peace. And as we move into a time of meditation, if you find your thoughts drifting, use as an anchor the affirmation, I am peace. I am peace. In the silence. And as we bring our time of meditation to a close, if you like, you can continue to sit restfully or join in on our next song.
Silent night, oh, and the sight, glory streams from heaven afar, and the hosts sing hallelujah. Christ the Savior is born. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord of my life, Jesus, Lord.
Beautiful. So I invite you to join me in our offering affirmation. Together, prosperity flows freely through our church, nourishing our ministry while enriching the lives we touch. We are grateful stewards of all that is given, using it wisely to create a legacy of love and service. And have another song.
I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm aware of all my blessings, so much love I can't sit still. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm aware of all my blessings, so much good I can't sit still. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm aware of all my blessings, so much peace I can't sit still. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm aware of all my blessings, so much faith I can't sit still. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm happy, I'm joyful, I am fulfilled. I'm aware of all my blessings, so much grace
the service, not immediately after the service, at 1 p.m., enough time for you to go get lunch and come back. We have the dances of Universal Peace. And then on Saturday, we have another dance workshop with Candace Trich from Dance Alchemy, and that's more choreography. Dances of Universal Peace are a sacred text turned into music or chants, and generally a circle dance. The dance workshop on Saturday is choreography that's easy to learn, and you're going to feel so good after you do it. Guaranteed. Okay. And then we have on the 21st a remembrance gathering led by our beautiful Ann Baker. There's a sign-up sheet that's going around now, just so that she can have an idea how many people will be attending. And then on Christmas Day, come and join your spiritual family in the morning for lunch before going with your other family, other community for dinner. We'll have a potluck service, a service first, probably along the line of a Taizé service, which is more reflective with chants and readings, and then a potluck following that. And our Burning Bowl service, which I know a lot of people are look forward to every year, is on the last Sunday of this month. And then after the service, we have a meeting with the Board of Trustees to go over the finances of 2024 and the budget for 2025. We're not voting on any of it. This is information only. Okay? And then on the first of the new year, what better way to start than having a vision board and lunch? No, I'm looking forward to this. A vision board helps us clarify how we want to move into the new year. Not necessarily the things we want to bring into our lives, but how we want to be, right? Okay, there's a difference there. And then the sound bath is happening later on. There is a different time. Our monthly sound bath is changing to 6 p.m. instead of 7 p.m. Flyers for all of this, lots of information. The meditation retreat is going to be very special. I hope you can make it. It's a day of meditation and diving into, I think Patricia is going to be doing a little bit on the Chinese 5 elements theory as well, and some chants and, well, different types of meditation and mindfulness practices. Oh, the chairs. Yes, we need to move the chairs after the service. It's like, what's happening that we need to move the chairs? But yes, we do. Stacked on the sides. And then one final announcement. We are also passing around a sign-up sheet for volunteer opportunities for 2025. We ask for a year-long commitment, and this is coming to a close with those who committed last year. If you would like to volunteer for any of the jobs or any of the, duties, it's not job, but duties, then just put your name down, contact information. Training is provided for all of them. And this is a time for you to kind of reflect what your gifts might be as well. If you're an outgoing person, you love to meet people, you might want to be a greeter. If you love to cook, you might want to help out with hospitality. So just different things to look at. Additionally, our bylaws require that members renew their membership annually. So there are cards in the back with the tie-dye box. That seems so appropriate for this group, doesn't it? And it's really for you to commit to, keeping this beautiful spiritual community in your prayers, and being an active member in support and attendance, and also so that we know as part of the Board of Trustees who is going to continue on being a member. So it's very important that you fill out the card. Okay, now, one last thing. We we have a prayer shawl here for a beloved member of our community. I don't want to say in case they're watching, which they probably will. So as the next song comes on, I just invite you to take a moment and just see that the recipient is really surrounded by love, knowing that this shawl was knit, yes, knit, not crocheted, knit with love, and that this is representing the love of this community, the love of God, as they have here. Okay. And yes, we do have a song.
I do have a little bit of tidbit of information on the song. The next song is It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. And this song was written by Edmund Sears, who was a pastor of a Unitarian church in Massachusetts. And it was written during a time of personal hardship and in the wake of the Mexican-American War. It was later put to music by an American, Richard Storr. Entirely, oh, I'm sorry, that's not right. Others have pointed out that the lyrics to this song are considered remarkable for a few reasons. First, the song doesn't mention Christmas or Jesus explicitly. It references the lyrics. It references Luke 2:14, which is the announcement of the Christ birth to the shepherds. And according to Linus Van Pelt, which I'm not really sure who he is what Christmas is all about, the announcement.
Isn't that the Charlie Brown character?
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right. It is Linus. I was like,
Well, that's the authority.
yeah. But the song is much more focused on the angel's message of peace than on the announcement of the Savior. Which peace is easily lost. The sight is lost in the context of all the celebrations of Christmas. So, anyway, let's sing. Yeah.
Came upon a midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their hearts of gold. He saw the earth goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay, to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they can whirl. Then
You guys have those lyrics?
Nope.
Okay. For love. Okay, we're gonna do that.
da, 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 da. We saw the earth goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay, to hear the angels sing. For lo, the days are hasting on, by prophets seen of old, and let the ever-circling years shall come the time foretold. Whoopsie. Then he shall reign the angels sing. Peace on the earth. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay, to hear the angels sing.
You know what, I really appreciate when you sing, you have it in a range that I can sing too. If you look at the hymnals, it's like, oh, I'm not getting that.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah. So, let's go ahead and take a few minutes of silence as the shawl finishes its way. I think we just a few more people to bless it. So I invite you as it's making its way, just join in that blessing and just really seeing this shawl as a comfort to the recipient, allowing them to feel the energy of our love, our care. And just hold that thought for a minute. Okay, so at this time we're going to say goodbye to our Facebook friends, our YouTube friends. We love you, we appreciate you. We see you as the light that you are. Thank you for being part of this community.